there's anybody in this room, as well as what's happened over the last few years and possibly what will continue to happen. So what I was thinking is to possibly appoint Pete as a specialist, and that's official specialist to a 109 board advisory committee. And if we need to put a time limit on it, I would think something like 2 years. And of course, this is totally up to Pete in order to say if he wants to do this or not. I think it would be worthwhile to everybody's position as far as what side we're on. It doesn't matter. Pete has a lot of information that he could share with us if he would so do so.
I look at it, and obviously we've talked individually. We've not had any problem with meeting laws, but why throw away all that knowledge? And it's up to you if you're willing to participate, because we need your background, your assistance in navigating, some of what we may find as roadblocks that pathways through. But just your basic knowledge that we've grown to accept and maybe take for granted over the years. So with that said, are you willing to serve in that role, Pete?
Sure. As long as I can step out of it when I want to.
There's,
Yeah.
What, the pay's the same, the contract's the same. So,
Yeah, I will.
well, thank you very much. Then, if Pete's willing to accept that position, can I get a motion to make that official? Bob, you want to just use your motion?
Yes.
Okay. Second by Mr. Craig. Any discussion required? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none. Welcome back to the fold. You can get out, but you can never leave.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Pete. We appreciate it. And obviously, we're going to continue to work on the cost of services study, but that'll be dependent upon what happens tonight, later, and possibly next month. With that said, that's the next item on our agenda. And as we all know, we were expecting some updates from Ms. McCarthy on the 24th of October that we did not receive due to the, the number of changes that we requested. And she had submitted to did she submit to the 109 board, Karen, a letter requesting additional monies or an extension of her contract?
Yes, and then she sent this email that I included in this meeting invite as an attachment, just to make sure everybody has seen it.
I think it's imperative I think there's a lot of things to look at in the study. I think it's imperative to implement the changes that we already agreed upon. And I believe when she stated that she agreed, or she would make the changes, or Harold made the changes, there's just several items in that study that have to be changed. I mean, just the one that sticks in my mind is the 1.2 or 1.3 loads, per day. And we don't have a transfer station to park all of our trucks in, so we have to empty that 0.3 ton load. So we have to have those changes made. But it's going to be up to the board's pleasure, the 109 board's pleasure this evening, to see if they even address that matter. So I think we're at a standstill on the cost of services study at this point in time, unless anyone else has anything you want to bring up on it.
Bruce,
Mr.
I'm gonna jump right in.
You go right ahead. That's why we got you on board.
I had a question about the 1.2 loads, and I believe that the answer to that was that while it came into 1.2 loads, the routing treated it as 2 loads. So it was not gonna undershoot as gonna overshoot a little bit, but you know that when you have on the truck, it can't be sitting around, so.
Right.
So if you treat it as two, and that's what the study treated it as, is it necessary to make a change to that? How would we?
Well, I mean, that's just one, if I misunderstood it, Pete, I apologize, but that's one that we discussed during the meeting last month. That-
Actually, a great part of what we asked to do was to clarify things. What I understand what you're saying, but there were a lot of things in there that we didn't have issue with. We just didn't think that they were clear enough that people reading the study would know what they were. And I would agree. I think that we ended up over time asking for a lot from Raftellus. And they were very amenable to explaining to us, clarifying the whole thing. And I do think in the long run that we have asked them to do more than they were initially contracted to do. I think that I would hope the board would vote somehow to at least come up with enough money or to come up with a way for enough money that we could have a final draft of the study. And if I had my druthers, what they would do would end up having Raftellus submit bills. In other words, that they would not give them a blanket $25,000 because I'd like to see them submit bills for what they're doing and with a cap maybe of $25,000.
Kind of like a change order, like when you're doing things.
Mhm.
Yeah, really, in an hourly billing rate, I think that would be amenable on their part. I mean, I have a great deal of respect. Miss McCarthy, I think she worked hard, her team worked hard.
Mhm.
You know, I had a lot of fun with Harold last meeting. Seems like a great numbers guy.
I think that would be the way to go. I think that the board probably needs to understand better about what the ask has been to Raftellus so that they can better understand and make a better decision on it. At the last board meeting that I was at, the board is supporting the advisory committee's decisions about what they need to do. But I think that from hearing this, are you saying that maybe that we've asked them to do too much and we could scale that back?
No, I don't think
No.
we can scale it back. I
But I-
think, go ahead,
No,
Sandra.
well, no, but for example, you were talking about what we asked them to do. I'm sure that we brought them to more meetings with us than they initially anticipated. And I know that at least 3 of us gave them pages. I know I did 3 pages of questions. And I don't think that that was necessarily something they would have anticipated. So in the long run, I do think we asked them for a great deal more than they expected to deliver. And they've been really good about doing that. The board did see all of the questions that we asked and got the answers. So that they know at least in part that we were diligent in doing what we're supposed to be doing.
I think in a lot of cases, what I was struggling with, the initial answers to our questions were excerpts from the draft plan as they've referenced it, which is fine. But there's obviously a misunderstanding or a question about that issue that would require a more descriptive answer. And as important as this study is, I don't think that we should leave it undone. I don't think we should leave it with any open questions. And, you know, it's my recommendation to the 109 board, you know, to do an hourly rate with a cap, because I would like to see a little more detail. And with your expertise and working with it every day, you know, we all have jobs. We didn't put the same amount of time into it, but it's pretty easy to open it up and think, something just doesn't feel right here.
Any way I can get access to what was provided to the board? I don't think I've seen all the questions and changes.
Sure, it's a matter of public record. I mean, we can do that.
I mean, right now, I have a document that had, Bruce, Bob, and Sandra had questions, and those questions are listed with Rechellis answers.
Mhm.
She had originally put it to a PowerPoint, which is a little more difficult to see back and forth the answers, so I just copied and pasted everything into one long PDF basically that I could email you.
Now, I don't want you to think that this is the only reason, Pete, that we want you on board. You're not gonna get off that easy, because there's a lot more things out there that I feel, Sandra and I both feel, as do Bob and I, that, and I'm sure everyone here, that we can do in this community now that, you know, we're not maybe contributing them as much as we can to the 109 board to see that it gets done. I think this grant program that we started is a great start. We expand on that greatly. You know, the education group, we don't talk about it enough and we don't advertise it enough.
We all agree on that.
So, you know, I think there's a lot of work that we can do. I just don't want you to think it's all about the study, but I think that's one key component of it.
Before we close up, then expound on Pete's question a little bit. Are we sure that we don't want to possibly remove a little bit from what we've asked? I mean, we all asked a lot of stuff, and sometimes you do that, but then you look at, here's what it's gonna cost. So one way, I agree, we probably should add to them, pay more, I'm not disputing that, but are we sure? And do you have anything you'd like to add to say that we could possibly take out?
Well, my initial thought is if I take a look at those questions and what Rathcullis responded to, maybe they were questions that I maybe had some of the knowledge as to why it was the way that it was. And maybe if I can review those questions and give those answers, that they would answer what you guys are looking for.
Well, they've already done it though. I mean, they've already done the work.
Okay.
And some of my questions were naive because this is not my background. But they have already, in the course of 2 or 3 meetings, they literally went through those with us. So I don't think we can save money. I think that would be unfair to them if we did
That's why
that.
I'm always looking at this.
Yeah.
I
I
think-
think there are some things, but I think that, for example, there's a PowerPoint presentation that they've got in what they're planning for the future that may or may not be necessary. But I don't think we could save enough money to make it realistic.
Really, Pete, I think that I can't sit here and promise you there will be fewer questions, because there's actually going to probably end up being more. I mean, this is a document that has a lot of detail in it. And so even if it's just, you know, educating, you know, the 109 board or the advisory committee, because I'm not going to support a motion to the 109 board that I have questions about, you know, the accuracy of the study. I don't think anyone on this committee would.
No, and I think when there's a final report, we're gonna have to do another review.
We will do a review and we'll do a vote that we accept it as a final report, and then whether or not we're going to submit it.
I would just think that it would be difficult to eliminate any question because all of us have offered our questions probably more important than the next one. So, you know, I think all of them have to be answered and reviewed.
Well, and it's funny, when we get to the questions, it's not like we don't have other jobs. And in all honesty, when we're sitting there trying to go through page after page after page, and I had 4 people working on questions in our division. There were some good questions that came out of it. Maybe there was some misunderstanding, but that's just four guys working on it, or 4 people working on it for 6 hours. That's not enough time to go through a document that large.
I would agree. I think that anytime that you're dealing in theory, which is part of that study, is theory and opinion of the consultants, that's what we paid them to do, right? The concern that I have is that we go too far down the rabbit hole. And we really need to keep in mind what the study was there to answer, and has it been answered sufficiently to come to any conclusions. So yes, yeah, going down that rabbit hole in theory it's long and tough, so.
I don't think we'll end up all the way down the rabbit hole. I think we'll end up with a better understanding and a little more comfort amongst the parties to where we can
Yeah, I
actually
think
make a
they-
recommendation.
I agree. I think they've answered the questions. The next step is for them to, if some of mine don't need to get incorporated, but if they're incorporated into the final document, it'll be a final document. And then I don't think we're looking at major anything. I think the major things have been dealt with.
If they bill $200 an hour, we know how many hours we would have, and depending upon how much money the 109 board would approve.
Yeah, I think doing what you're talking about as far as a fee schedule, based upon hours or a task would be very appropriate. And if the board would approve up to $25,000, that doesn't mean that you have to spend the
Exactly.
$25,000. So I think that's a good way to go.
Well, we've made a significant investment to date, and we just need to spend a little bit more money to wrap it up. So that's going to be my discussion later this afternoon with the 109 board. That's what I will recommend to them, if that's all right with the advisory committee.
Would you like us to make a motion? that
Let's
you-
do that. Let's go ahead and make a motion, take a vote.
Okay, I make a motion that your recommendation to the board at this time is to ask Raftellus to continue creating a final draft with billable hours coming in for what they're doing up to a maximum of $25,000.
And thank you.
To clarify that, so the scope of what they're doing is answering advisory board questions.
They've answered the questions. They're not written down and incorporated into the document.
Okay, I think we need to put guardrails on that so that that's what they're addressing specifically instead of giving.
No, because they're actually gonna, there are other things they have to do. They're gonna have to come back to us. They're going to have to go to the board. I mean, it isn't just sitting there and finishing the report. It's finishing the report and then doing the communications to complete it also.
So that can be part of it.
Mhm.
Doesn't hurt to put something. Put it on.
Do I have a second?
Do we want to add the communications with the advisory board and the 109 board? Is that what you guys were saying?
Right.
So add that to the motion.
Add that to the motion.
All right.
Second that.
And Bob seconds it. Any additional discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you very much. Let's see, I don't believe we have anything else on the agenda tonight,
Well,
do
the
we, Karen?
minutes, did we do the minutes?
Oh, we did not approve the minutes. I'm sorry. See, without my glasses, I'm just not worth a darn.
Are you driving?
She's gonna pull out.
You know what? I don't even have a rearview mirror. Yeah.
Story.
So I need a motion for approval of the October 15th, 2025 advisory committee meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Motion by Ms. Martinez. Do I have a second? Mr. Story makes a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you very much. Announcements, 109 board meeting in this room on, when are we meeting, Karen?
December 17th.
December 17th. Oh, okay.
It'll be a similar situation as tonight, for the shorter advisory committee and then the board coming in at 12:30
Okay, so we're gonna double up the same as we're doing this evening.
due to Thanksgiving and then Christmas.
So our next meeting will be on the 17th here at 4:30 PM, 4:30 to 5:30, and then the 109 board immediately thereafter at 5:30 to 7.
Currently, it's scheduled for here. If by chance our building becomes available, I will tell you. I'll be like.
I would love it if it was.
Yeah, we're very close.
Okay, one last item. Is there any items, public comment? All right. Hearing none, any other issues by any committee members? With none, do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. Lee, second by Mr. Hext. All in favor? Aye. And those opposed? Thank you all very much. I know it's inconvenient to come in for an in-face meeting, but I think it's important. We spent a lot of money on this study, and we need to get the most out of it as we can. And that's just my feeling.
Do you anticipate them presenting next meeting?
I expect getting some answers and at some point presenting. I feel it's going to be imperative that we have an additional discussion to gain comfort
If the board
for the
votes,
committee. And it's not my place to call. It's the committee's pleasure on what we recommend to the 109 board. If I say heck no, and you guys all say yes, then we're gonna recommend it.
But if the 109 board approves, the additional funding, do you think then that by the next month, they'll be ready to have someone here, or do you think it'll?
I think the timeline,
It's up
we
to
had
them.
an estimated timeline, did we not?
yeah,
Karen?
and it
I
would
thought they were
accommodate what
planning
you're
on
saying.
coming
Yeah, it
next
would.
meeting.
Yeah,
They-
they
but,
strategically
you know,
scheduled it for
they'll
the
have a
21st, right?
report by Friday, which gives you all 3 weeks to review. So I do not anticipate a presentation. I think it's more everyone reads this and then a discussion can happen.
And
So-
I believe that Ms. McCarthy has been so accommodating. If it takes her a short minute of her time to come in and answer a few questions,
Yeah,
she'd be more
I'm
than
sure
willing to
she'll
do
be
that.
here, But just keep in mind that once we send you all the next draft or whatever she sends us by Friday, that you all would need to look at that ahead of the meeting.
When you said discussion, you mean like by emails back and forth? Or
No, I mean at December 17th,
At the next
be
meeting.
prepared
So we look at it
knowledge
ourselves,
of it, yes,
prepare our questions.
The latest email said that we will have a report by
by 11/21.
11/21. So November 21st, we will have a final report, not a draft report.
If you could make that clear in the email.
It's on an email.
we have to approve.
Yeah, to be approved before it's
It's
final.
on the calendar invite.
Will they be presenting us a red line version and a clean version?
I thought you all talked about,
That's how they
part of-
presented it.
Part of some of that would be difficult because it would probably involve the spreadsheets. But
Well, I know a document can get very
Awful.
difficult to see with all the redlining
It can.
and moves and stuff. That's why if you match it up with a clean version, it can be helpful. But,
mhm,
you know, it's not, the redline version is not gonna be everything, but it will give us and everybody a really good idea about where they need to be looking for the concerns.
mhm,
I really appreciate it.
that would be great.
Yeah,
I think it's always better.
I know at least we have page numbers and paragraphs. So I
That's
can go
true.
back
That
through
is
the
true.
original draft.
As much redline as we can, you know, it just makes it easier for the person to ingest it.
Mhm.
Right. Okay. Anything else, committee members? Hearing none, we need to vacate the premises here to let the 109 board take our seats.
And Bruce, I
Thank you.
won't be able to make next month's meeting, so I just want to put that out there to make sure we have a quorum for
All right.
anything.
Thank you very much. You're not allowed to go out of town over Christmas.
It's our
Bruce is
company.
bringing eggnog.
How's
Our
Santa
company
Claus gonna
dinner.
find you?